that ratification means validation or certification ataupun in Malay word sahkanlah pengesahan dibuat oleh pihak principal. Okay. Where in this situation the principal has right to validate the action by agent. Okay. Di mana agent ada two types of ratification untuk pembentukan agensi through ratification ini. Yang pertama, the agent was appointed by the principal has exceeded his authority. Itu yang pertama. Agent yang dilantik melakukan tugas di luar bidang skop kerja yang ditetapkan. The agent act out of scope of job that has been instructed by the principal. So is that the agent has exceeded his authority or his power. And second, a person who is not an agent at all, okay, a person who is not an agent at all means that that person has no authority to act for the principal. Silap agent kat sini. It's no authority to act for the principal, but acted as if he has the authority. Seseorang yang tidak dinamakan sebagai agent tapi bertindak sebagai agent, dan the ratification or validation of the action by agent must come from the principal. Okay, for example, Ahmad have a motorcycle and he wants to dia nak jualkan motorcycle dia tersebut, and Ali have knowledge about that. Okay. Ali tahu berkenaan dengan the intention of Ahmad want to sell his motorcycle, and at that time, okay, Ali juga tahu bahawa Bakar tengah mencari motorcycle. Okay. Bakar tengah cari motorcycle untuk dibeli. So in this situation, okay, Ahmad tak pernah pun melantik Ali sebagai agent, tapi Ali menyuarakan, Ali told Bakar that Ahmad is searching for someone to buy his motorcycle. Jadi sekarang ni Ali dengan sendirinya melantik diri dia sebagai agent. Tak ada orang lantik dia, Ahmad tak lantik dia, Bakar pun tak lantik dia, tapi Ali melantik dirinya sendiri sebagai agent. Okay, for example, katakanlah Ali knows that Ahmad want to sell his motorcycle at the price of 3,000. And then so Ali inform pada Bakar bahawa motosikal tersebut berharga 3,000 dan Bakar berminat, okay, dan setuju untuk membeli motosikal tersebut. Dan Ali kemudiannya, okay, memberitahu Ahmad bahawa he finds, okay, a buyer for that motorcycle. Dan Ahmad bersetuju dengan apa yang dibuat oleh Ali. Means that Ahmad ratify the action by Ali. So dengan sendiri kita katakan dekat sini agency by ratification exists. Ali has no authority at all to act, okay, for the principal, but he acted as if he has the authority. Jadi mungkin bila berlakunya katakanlah the transaction successfully between Ahmad and Bakar. Ahmad berjaya jual motosikal tersebut pada Bakar, and later on, okay, Ahmad give, okay, certain commission, okay, to Ali. So in this situation, we said that, okay, the person who has no authority at all, or the person who is not appointed as an agent, but he himself acted as if he has the authority. So the ratification or validation of the action done by that person, okay, must come from the principal. Tapi it is subject to the principal lah, either nak terima, either to accept or reject. Okay, the katakanlah dalam kes tadi Ahmad tak bersetuju dengan tindakan yang dibuat oleh Ali. Okay, di mana Ahmad tak nak jual motosikal daripada Bakar, dia nak cari buyer lain. Okay, for example. So it is up to the principal either to accept or reject, okay, the dealings done by the by the agent who is not an agent, in fact. Yeah. So that one is agency by ratification. So there are 5 methods to create an agency. So for agency by ratification, okay, if you look at here, okay, the further elaboration, okay, about the agency by ratification, a contract can only be ratified if act or contract is unauthorized. Okay, sebab kalau kita lihat dalam situasi yang pertama di mana the agent exceeded his authority, means that that person also has no authority to act. Okay, but he already exceed, okay, the power that has been vested by the principal on him. Okay, and the second situation where a person who is not appointed as an agent but act as if he has the authority also is not also is unauthorized, okay, person to act. So dalam situasi ini untuk ratification, okay, yang pertama ialah act or contract is unauthorized. Okay, perlakuan yang dibuat ataupun kontrak yang dibuat itu tadi merupakan sesuatu yang tidak diberi kuasa lah. Ya, tidak. Dan yang kedua, agent at the time of the contract expressly act as agent for the principal, not that he is the principal. So kalau kata agent bertindak, di mana agent was duly appointed as exceeded his authority, he must represent himself to other people that he is an agent to someone. Kena beritahu lah principal dia siapa, dan principal must exist at that time. Okay, the agent at the time of the contract expressly act as agent for the principal. Dia tak boleh namakan diri dia sebagai principal, dia kena nyatakan bahawa dia bertindak sebagai agent to someone. Okay, section 149, and the agent must have a principal. Kena ada principal. Kalau tak ada principal, macam mana dia nak namakan diri dia sebagai agent? Okay. Who is in actual existence or capable of being ascertained. So the you can refer to the case of Kellner versus Baxter. This Kellner versus Baxter. There is a fact of the case here. Dia boleh lihat the case of Kellner versus Baxter, where the agent must have a principal. Okay. And then the principal must have a contractual capacity at the time contract is met and at the time of ratification. The principal himself, he must have a contractual capacity, means that capacity to enter into a contract. The principal must be someone who attained the age of majority, someone who must be an adult, and also a sound mind person. So that principal have a contractual capacity to enter into a contract, okay, and also in terms of validation or ratify the action done by agent. And the principal must ratify the whole act or contract. Principal tadi mestilah validate the whole act or contract. He cannot just validate half or partly of the contract. He must validate the whole act or contract. Katakanlah dalam situasi Ahmad, Ali dan Bakar tadi, Ahmad kena validate apa dealing yang dibuat oleh Ali keseluruhannya. Dia tak boleh kata okey dia bersetuju untuk jualkan pada Ahmad motosikal tersebut, tapi dia tak setuju dengan harga yang diletakkan oleh Ali. So that one kita katakan the principal cannot ratify the whole act or contract. The principal untuk lengkapkan agency by ratification must ratify the whole act or contract, and the ratification also must not injure third party. Okay, the ratification done by the principal to what has been done, to what has been to the action done by the agent must not give any implication, bad implication, must not injure, and also give bad consequence to the third party lah. Dia tak boleh menyebabkan kerugian kepada pihak ketiga. The ratification done tidak boleh menyebabkan kerugian kepada pihak ketiga. So all of this, okay, the point from number 1, okay, till 6 here, okay, is considered as a requirement for agency by ratification. Jadi untuk agency by ratification, if a scenario come to you stating that, okay, someone, the agent exceed his authority, ataupun the agent, the person who is not an agent but appointed himself as an agent, and later on the principal validate or ratify the action, okay, so that one is considered as agency by ratification. So agent was duly appointed as exceeded his authority ni, for example, dalam situasi katakanlah an owner of a shop, okay, apa ni, a shopkeeper, dia ada pekerja, dan the owner dah nyatakan kepada pekerjanya untuk satu kali tempahan, for example, berkaitan dengan certain goods lah, okay. Kalau kata that owner or employer has instruct his employees to order 100 can of meat, for example, 100 tin susu saja satu bulan. Okay, tapi the employee order more than that. Okay, because dia lihat keperluan susu sekarang ni, memandangkan bulan puasa, for example, dan situasi bulan puasa, orang nak buat kuih, nak buat dessert, nak buat biskut raya dan sebagainya. So the need for milk tu lebih. Okay, so order more than that, double, for example. Okay, so exceed his authority. Tapi kalau kata the principal, okay, approve or ratify or validate, okay, the action done by the agent, so we can say that the agency by ratification exists there. Okay, yang penting the formula is that the agent act outside his scope of job or exceed his authority or his power, or a person who is not appointed as an agent but acted as if he has the authority. Dan ada requirement khusus lah. Okay, point 1 to 6 ni untuk melengkapkan agency by ratification. So you can have a look at the macam mana saya cakap tadi lah, the principal has right to accept, okay, or reject the action, okay, by agent, and agent is free from any liability if the principal approve or accept their action, okay, and the principal is bound by the contract. So you can have a look at the case of Kaylee Maxted and Co versus Duran, okay, di mana dalam kes ini an agent Robert, okay, Robert tak ada nama kat dalam ni. Okay, Robert is considered as an agent, okay, to Kaylee, and Robert here, okay, was authorized by Kaylee to buy wheat, okay, at a certain price, and the agent exceeded his authority and bought at a higher price. Okay, dia beli dengan harga yang lagi tinggi, and what happened is that when the agent deal with the third party during here, the agent using his own name, okay, using his own name means that he represent himself as a principal, not an agent. Okay, tetapi masa dealing tu, even dia gunakan nama dia, tapi niatnya ialah but intended it for his master or principal, and even the agent has exceeded his authority by buying at higher price, Kaylee still agreed, okay, to the action done by Robert. Cuma kes dibawa kemudiannya ke mahkamah, okay, bila mana Kaylee and also Robert ni fail to take delivery goods. So the court held that, the court held that Kelly was not liable to Duran later on because Robert, at the time of dealing with Duran, did not profess to act as an agent. So we can say that there is um, one of the requirement of ratification is not being fulfilled here. Yeah. Even the principal approve or ratify or validate the action by agent, but during the transaction, during the dealing, the agent, i.e. Robert, using his own name, cannot using the name of the principal, means that he is not acted as an agent at that time. So dekat situ, the menyebabkan the principal not liable to the action by agent tadi lah.
Doctor,
Yes.
can I ask, so for this case, since he didn't act as an agent, right? I mean, even though initially he's an authorized agent for Kelly, but then since he did not act as an agent to Duran, then among the six requirements for ratification, is it more towards like he exceeded with like for, is it like under unauthorized?
Yes, unauthorized here when he exceeded his authority to bought at higher price.
Okay.
There is instruction from Kelly, for Robert to buy the wheat, but at certain price. But we, from the fact of the case, it shows that the agent exceeded his authority by buying at higher price. Okay, that one is considered one of the mistake dia lah kat situ. Okay, tapi bila mana they act, even he act out of his scope of job by buying at a higher price, means that something yang dibuat tu tadi dianggap sebagai sesuatu yang not authorized by Kelly, tapi still Kelly approve the act done by Robert.
Yeah.
Walaupun beli dengan harga yang tinggi, principal bersetuju dengan tindakan agent here. But what happened later on, there is evidence that shows that during the dealings, between Robert and Duran, kita tahu bahawa Robert tadi agent, considered as a middle person, orang tengah. Robert pada masa dealing dengan Duran, Robert using his own name. Dia tak menggunakan nama nama Kelly as principal dia, bahawa dia datang sekarang ni sebagai agent, tapi sekarang ni dia datang sebagai principal lah. Dia tak menggunakan nama dia sebagai agent. Maksudnya dia beli tu dengan menggunakan nama dia, not on behalf of his principal. So kita katakan ada slack dekat situ lah, ada kekurangan dekat situ, whereby one of the requirement of ratification, tadi katakan dekat sini untuk requirement of ratification, agent at the time of the contract expressly act as agent for the principal, not that he is the principal. Dia tak boleh gunakan nama dia.
Right. So another issue is using his own name is
yes. Even we can say that even the principal approve the action sekalipun, tapi still bila mana dia menggunakan nama dia, so menyebabkan the principal can run away from the liability bila mana fail to take delivery tadi, nak letakkan liability kat atas principal, tak boleh. So the liability only goes to Robert lah in this case.
Yeah, okay.
Robert saja yang bertanggungjawab. Sebab kita tahu bila untuk law of agency ni, the contract involved between principal and agent, and also principal and third party. So kalau kata third party tak puas hati dengan agent, the action must be taken against the principal. Kalau you nampak kat sini, dia tak letakkan nama agent there. Citation, nama case tu, Kelly, Maxted and Co. Tak ada nama Robert there. Okay, versus Duran. Okay. Because for the law of agency, the action must be taken against the principal. Tapi dalam sekarang ni, bila mana nak ambil tindakan terhadap principal, rupanya ada Okay, ada evidence yang menunjukkan bahawa the agent, while dealing with the third party, he using his own name. So maksudnya dia sendiri gunakan nama diri dia, acted like a principal lah. Dia tak act on behalf of the principal. So bila tindakan diambil, okay, so Kelly ni tak liable terhadap third party. So in fact Robert yang liable lah sekarang ni. Kalau sebelum ni kita boleh letakkan apa saja pelakuan agent, principal akan liable. Selagi mana tak keluar daripada skop tugas yang ditetapkan. Tapi in this case, the agent has exceeded his authority. Tapi kita tahu bahawa bila agent exceeded his authority, agent still boleh selamat bila mana principal approvekan tindakan dia. Right. Betul tak?
Yeah, so so lagi tu, since Kelly approve yang they increase the price, right? So it
Yes.
doesn't, there's no issue with that since the principal agreed.
Yes. No issue between principal agent, no issue sekarang ni. Tapi sekarang bila nak ambil tindakan, mahkamah memutuskan bahawa Kelly tak perlu liable pun. Kelly was liable to Duran, i.e. third party dalam kes ini. Because during the transaction dealing tadi, Robert profess Robert ni gunakan his own name. Dia tak menggunakan nama Kelly untuk deal. Is it clear or confusing?
Yeah, it's clear right now. Thank
Okay.
you.
So maksudnya kalau kita katakan even the concept of agency by ratification is subject to the approval by principal. Okay, because nama dia agency by ratification. Ratification means validation or certification from the principal. Maksudnya kalau principal certified the action done by agent, then the case is settled. Tapi rupanya kita kena lihat juga, okay, requirement lain, requirement yang point 1 to 6 tu perlu juga dipenuhi. Perlu juga dipenuhi oleh satu kes yang melibatkan agency by ratification. Okay, if you look at here, act or contract is unauthorized. So bila mana Robert buy wheat at higher price, kita katakan dia dah bertindak di luar skop tugas yang ditetapkan. Agent at the time of the contract expressly act as agent for the principal. Tapi dalam kes Kelly Maxted and Co versus Children tadi, Robert profess, okay, Robert using his own name masa dealing. Okay. And the agent must have a principal. Memang agent ada principal. Okay, agent in that case, Robert have a principal, i.e. Kelly. Okay, the principal must have a contractual capacity. Yes, okay, Kelly has a contractual capacity to enter into that contract, and at the time of ratification also, the principal have contractual capacity, and the principal must ratify the whole act or contract. Yes, Kelly ratify the action done by Robert, and the ratification also not injured third party in this case. Tapi what happened kalau kita lihat when both Kelly and also Robert fail to take delivery of that goods, then kita kata dah injured third party there lah. Jadi bila once you want to decide whether the elements of agency by ratification ni fulfill all or not, you kena lihat satu lah, okay, based on the fact of the case. Okay, and then you also can have a look at case of SRM Mayapachitya. Okay, maybe we can have a look at this case, Kellner versus Baxter. A contract to buy a hotel entered into by an agent on behalf of company which was about to be formed. Satu kontrak melibatkan pembelian satu hotel entered by an agent, dan agent act on behalf of company, tapi company tersebut at that time was about to be formed. Company tu tak wujud lagi, baru nak ditubuhkan. So kita tahu bahawa one of the requirement for ratification, the principal must exist, the company must exist first. Okay. The agent must have a principal. Kena wujud. Tapi kalau kata company pun masih lagi dalam bayangan, tak wujud lagi, tapi dah ada kontrak untuk pembelian hotel by agent. So in this case, again, the action done by the agent could not be ratified by the company since it did not exist at that time. Okay, so the agent was therefore held liable for the contract, okay, unless the third party agreed to release him. Okay, that has been decided in the case of Kellner versus Baxter. Jadi kalau kata if the question come to you, okay, you have to have a look at that question, whether that is an element of ratification to fulfill ataupun tidak. In order to make sure that the agency, okay, is created based on ratification. Ada soalan kelas? Is it clear?
Ya, Doktor.
Okay. So agency by necessity. So untuk setiap point tu you boleh gunakan satu case saja dah mencukupi. So tadi kita tahu bahawa there are 5 methods to create an agency. We have express, by implied, by estoppel, necessity, and also ratification. Untuk express, implied, and also estoppel, you can just refer to one case, i.e. Chan Yin-Ti versus William Jack Senku. Pakai satu case tu dah cukup dah. Tapi you have to highlight which part yang menunjukkan ada express, which part ada menunjukkan implied, and also which part yang dikatakan sebagai creation of agency by estoppel. Yeah. And then for the creation of agency by ratification just now, you can use case Kellner versus Baxter ataupun case Cayley versus Cayley versus Duran tadilah. Yang mana-mana case yang you senang untuk explain why in creation of that agency dia kena fulfill banyak lagi requirement lain. Okay, even kita katakan for creation of agency by ratification ni hanya perlukan 2 situasi. It's either agent bertindak exceed outside his scope of job, ataupun the agent, that person is not an agent but appointed himself as an agent. And later on, both action will be ratified by the principal. Tapi tak cukup dengan tu, there are other requirements to be fulfilled in order to make sure that the agency by ratification exists. And then for agency by necessity, an agency by necessity means that kita katakan agency secara keperluan atau kecemasan. It may arise where a person is faced with an emergency, okay, and the condition also there is also requirement for creation of agency by necessity. Okay, first, impossible to get principal's instruction. Okay. Impossible to get the principal's instruction where the agent try to obtain, to get the instruction for the principal, but it is impossible, and the agent has to act in an emergency, to act fast, okay, in order to make sure that the principal, okay, will not suffer loss. Okay, so agent perlu bertindak cepat. Bila mana tak dapat instruction daripada principal, then the agent's action is necessary in order to prevent loss to the principal, okay, with respect to the interest committed to his charge lah. And then the agent also must act in bona fide, okay, acted in good faith. Bertindak tu secara niat suci, bukannya kata akan menyebabkan kerugian kepada principal later on lah. Dalam keadaan emergency, so the agent has to think a way, has to decide promptly apa yang perlu diambil tindakan pada waktu tersebut, sebab dia tak dapat contact principal. For example, in the situation, okay, kalau katakanlah a principal use a service of service of train to mobile a horse from one place to another place. Dia ada satu kuda nak dihantar ke tempat yang lain. Okay, and it has been agreed that when the horse reach the next pit stop, akan ada someone yang akan ambil kuda tersebut atau pick up that horse, okay, menggunakan perkhidmatan kereta api. So katakanlah, okay, the train dah sampai at the pit stop yang ditetapkan, dan there should be someone pick up, okay, the horse, tapi due to certain reason, okay, for example that person, orang yang sepatutnya pick up tu kena COVID, and then tak dapat ambil, kena quarantine, tak boleh keluar rumah, so tak dapat ambil kuda tersebut, okay? And the agent at that time, agent ni kita katakan train management tadi lah, okay, pengurusan kereta api tadi, dianggap sebagai agent sebab dia yang bawa kuda ni sekarang ni, and then no one come to pick up that horse. Jadi train management sekarang ini perlu bertindak, okay? Tak boleh nak biarkan kuda tersebut berkeliaran di stesen kereta api, okay? Cannot just let the horse without any supervision lah, okay? Tak ada orang mengawasi kuda tersebut, so that horse must be put in a stable, diberikan makan, okay, dijaga, okay, sampailah to a stage ada orang datang ambil kuda tersebut. So in this situation kita katakan wujud ni agency by necessity, agency by necessity or emergency in that situation. So in this case, okay, principal, okay, perlu bayar, okay, perlu bayar kepada agent sekiranya agent, okay, claim daripada principal untuk kos penjagaan dan sebagainya tadilah. So agency by necessity or emergency ni wujud dalam keadaan kecemasan, or that agent also not been appointed as a agent, mungkin tak dilantik sebagai agent, tapi that person has to that person look at the what we call it action which is necessary lah, mungkin untuk mengelakkan kerugian kepada pihak lain, so dia buat sesuatu tindakan yang kita katakan still in the scope of good faith, secara niat baik untuk mengelakkan pihak lain mengalami kerugian, dia ambil satu tindakan. And the agency by estoppel, okay, macam tadi kita dah bincangkan kes, we have discussed the case of William Jackson & Co. So you boleh gunakan kes tersebut lah, Chan Yin Tee versus William Jackson & Co. tadi for agency by estoppel, where a principal creates the appearance of an agency that in actuality does not exist. Principal sendiri yang tak estopkan, principal sendiri yang tak deny, okay, that person is an agent. So dia kemudiannya dihalang, stop, dia halang daripada menafikan that person is an agent if the other party to contract believes that the agent has authority to contract due to the words or conduct of the principal. Jadi kalau kata manager bawa secretary dia to one occasion, and then the other people kat situ believe lah bahawa that secretary is an agent to the employer. So later on, okay, the manager cannot deny that that secretary is his agent. Okay. Sebab kita faham dia ada parti kat sini, maksudnya the appearance by the principal itself yang create that situation. So dalam case William Jackson & Co just now, okay, Chan Yin Tee versus William Jackson & Co just now, bila mana Yong, a minor, represent diri dia sebagai partner kepada Chan Yin Tee dalam satu occasion, and then Chan Yin Tee pun tak deny, then he is stopped from denial that Yong is his agent. Okay, so ada soalan berkenaan dengan, is there any question relates to creation of agency? So please pay attention for this part. Okay, this part will come out in your final exam. Okay, so you have to remember that there are 5 methods, okay, for creation of agency, and the question may come to you in direct form or in short scenario question. So kalau kata short scenario question, you have to read word by word, and that from that fact of the case tu dia akan bagi clue lah pada you that question lead to what method of creation of agency yang boleh diguna pakai. Cuma nanti you kena justify lah. Okay, kalau kata you pilih creation of agency based on necessity, okay, kenapa you decide that one is based on creation of agency by necessity? So that there must be an element shows that yang menunjukkan bahawa the agent not getting instruction from the principal, impossible to get instruction from the principal, and the agent act in good faith in order to prevent the principal suffer loss dan sebagainya. Then we go to the last part, okay, of law of agency. In terms of, ada lagi duties, duties of an agent. Okay, I nak you lihat duties of an agent to the principal. Okay, there are several duties here. Nanti baca lah. Okay, there are several duties of an agent to the principal. Where the agent has to obey all the lawful instruction. As long as the instruction is legal, then the agent has to obey and observe the instruction from the principal. Tapi kalau kata melibatkan the instruction which is illegal, then there's a right for an agent to not to do the task, okay, that has been given by the principal lah. Okay, selagi mana arahan tersebut adalah satu arahan yang sah dari segi undang-undang, so the agent must follow the instruction. And then in the case of absence of instruction from the principal, so the agent must act based on his own merit, and also act in good faith in order to prevent loss, okay, for the principal. And the agent also must exercise care and diligence, okay, while carry out his work. And the agent also have to render proper accounts when required by the principal. And from here we know that the agent cannot make any secret profit. Kalau kata dia kena render proper accounts tu, dia kena, the agent must kept all the information, kept all the details about dealings, to make sure that there is no secret profit dealing done by the agent. And to pay his principal all sums received on his behalf. Okay, kalau kata ada bayaran yang diterima dan sepatutnya diserahkan kepada principal, so the agent must pay his principal all sum received, and to use all reasonable diligence to communicate with the principal, and also not to let his interest conflict with his duty. The agent also not to disclose confidential information, cannot reveal confidential information or documents entrusted to him by his principal. So certain things must be in PNC lah, private and confidential tu dia kena simpan lah, tak boleh reveal. And the agent also cannot appoint sub-agent without the authorization from the principal. Okay, there is a maxim here, delegatus non potest delegare, where the agent cannot delegate his authority to other person. Okay, agent tak boleh nak lantik sub-agent unless with the authorization from the principal. Cannot simply lah lantik. Unless kalau kata agent tak boleh buat kerja, agent mengalami masalah kesihatan dan sebagainya, and there is a duty that has to be done on behalf of the principal. Dah ada task and instruction that has been given by the principal to him. So dia kena bagi tahu principal bahawa dia tak boleh, he is not able to continue with the work, and there must be someone else, okay, has to take over his job. So dalam situasi ini, it must get the authorization from the principal. So for duties of an agent, okay, towards the principal from 1 to 10, okay, so please read this part. In the case, okay, in the case if the principal find out that the agent has made a secret dealings or has made secret profits, okay, so ada conflict of interest there, okay, so the principal has right to repudiate the contract. Repudiate means that terminate the contract, to resign the contract. Has right to stop the contract. Okay, sekiranya principal mendapati bahawa ejen ada buat keuntungan rahsia, okay, secret profits, ataupun ambil bribe, okay, ambil rasuah dan sebagainya, ada different figure dalam dealing yang dibuat di antara ejen dan third party, and it is out of the knowledge of the principal, okay. So the principal has right to repudiate the contract, and the principal also can recover the amount of secret profit from the agent, okay, based on 169. And at the same time, okay, the principal has right not to pay the agent his commission or other remuneration. Okay, once the principal find out that the agent has made secret profits ni, okay, principal tak perlu bayar pun bond commission kepada agent, yeah. And then dismiss the agent for breach of duty. Sue the agent and the third party, giving the bribe for damages for any loss he may have sustained through entering into the contract. So you can have a look at the case of Mahesan versus Malaysian Government Officers, Cooperative Housing Society Limited. Boleh lihatlah kes ni, boleh baca, nampak kat sini ada different figure, dan that figure tak di-revealkan oleh agent kepada principal. Mana agent ni terima bribe sebanyak 122,000. Okay. Ada keuntungan rahsia yang dibuat dekat situ. So in this case, the principal has right, okay, to terminate the contract between between principal and agent, and the principal also has right to recover the amount of secret profit. Principal also has right not to pay the agent, yeah, any commission, any remuneration, and dismiss, okay, the agent for breach of duty. Okay. Then also has right to sue the agent based on this case. Okay, Mahesan versus Malaysian Government Officers, Cooperative Housing Society Limited. Okay, if the principal find out that the agent has done secret dealings. Okay, then we go to the, okay, for the part of Islamic part, bawah tu is not related to all of you. Okay, there is no discussion for this for Islamic part, for SBSD 2073. That one is only for commercial law student, accounting commercial law student. So for all of you, that you don't have to look at that part. Okay, we go to the part of termination of an agency. Termination of an agency here, where there are two types. Again, there are two methods. There are two ways to terminate, okay, an agency, either by act of the parties, okay, where the agent can give notification to the principal that he no longer wants to work with that principal, or the principal also can give notification to the agent stating that the principal no longer want to hire that agent anymore. Okay, so the both party, okay, has right, okay, to give notification to each other in order to terminate, okay, an agency. So the mutual consent, the mutual consent, parties to a contract mutually agree to terminate the agreement. Kalau kata kedua-dua belah pihak bersetuju untuk